You woke up again at 2 a.m., and it wasn't your bladder's fault. A common dinner staple may quietly irritate your bladder and steal your sleep. Stay for a clear, safe fix you can start tonight. If you woke up twice last night to use the bathroom and then dragged yourself through the morning, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. For years, I blamed my bladder, my age, even the glass of water I sipped at bedtime. Then I traced the pattern back to a quiet culprit that sits on millions of dinner tables in North America. It hides in weeknight shortcuts, pizza nights after soccer practice, a quick bowl of pasta between meetings, the comforting heat of a ready-made soup on a cold evening. I didn't change who I was. I simply changed what I put on my plate, and the nights changed with it. Here's the heart of it, said in plain English. Certain common dinner add-ons can irritate the bladder or nudge your body to produce more urine after lights out. That's the fast lane to nocturia, needing to get up multiple times to pee. This isn't about fear or blame. It's about understanding ingredients and timing so your body can do what it's designed to do: rest, repair, and let you wake up ready. Before we get practical, a quick note of responsibility. Health isn't one size fits all. If you live with kidney, heart, or endocrine conditions, or if you use diuretics or other prescription medicines, tailoring changes with a licensed professional is the safest path. And because we're dealing with dinner, quantity and preparation matter as much as the ingredient. Too much of a healthy substitute can backfire, and some trendy salt replacements are rich in potassium, which isn't appropriate for everyone. Now to the part you can do tonight. Start a simple 7-night notebook. On one side, list what you ate for dinner, how it was seasoned, any sauces, and what time you finished eating. On the other, record how many times you woke up to urinate and how rested you felt in the morning. Just a quick 1-5 scale. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be curious. Patterns show up surprisingly fast. Adjust 2 levers first. No drama, just gentle nudges. Timing. Try finishing dinner 2 to 3 hours before bedtime when possible. That gives digestion and fluid shifts a head start. If your schedule is tight, even 60-90 minutes helps. Hydration distribution. Front-load most of your fluids earlier in the day. In the evening, sip to thirst rather than topping off. If your clinician told you otherwise, follow their guidance. Next, audit flavor. Many beloved American dinners lean on the same trio: salt, acid, and heat. In the right amounts, they're delicious. In the wrong amounts, especially late, they can irritate the bladder or pull more water into the urine. A bowl of pasta that swims in a tangy, salty sauce, a slice or 3 of peppery pizza, that well-intended, healthy soup with a salty kick. Each can stack the deck. Try this for 1 week. Swap late evening fiery spices for gentler herbs: basil, thyme, oregano, chives. You'll keep the flavor without the burn. If you rely on convenient sauces, use a smaller portion and balance them with something naturally sweet like sautéed carrot or roasted bell pepper. You'll need less seasoning overall. Taste your food before salting. Sounds obvious, but most of us salt by habit, not by palate. A squeeze of lemon at lunch is lively. The same squeeze right before bed may be too zippy for a sensitive bladder. While you test, notice your sleep. Do you fall back asleep faster? Do you wake once instead of twice? Even a small improvement adds up. More deep sleep means better focus, steadier mood, and fewer afternoon cravings. That's quality of life change, not just a tally on a notebook page. And because I want you to succeed, I'm placing a clear promise right here. When we finish this journey, I'll hand you a practical bonus: a concise, printable, bladder-friendly dinner checklist, plus a simple salt-free seasoning blend you can keep by the stove. No scare tactics, no extremes, just tools that make dinner satisfying and nights quieter. One more friendly caution, delivered without drama. What you change matters, and how you change it matters too. Overshooting on substitutes, piling on aggressive spices to compensate, or mistiming fluids can create the very discomfort you're trying to solve. Go steady. Keep notes. Let your body show you what works. We're about to pull back the curtain on the mechanism that turns a cozy dinner into a string of nighttime bathroom trips. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also lead to unwanted side effects if you overdo the wrong ingredients, so consider it carefully and apply it with care. If you took an honest look at your dinner plate and started trimming the late evening salt and heat, you've already done something valuable. Let's deepen that progress by understanding why a cozy evening meal can quietly set up a restless night. When you grasp the mechanism, you'll make smarter choices without feeling deprived. Your body is a master of balance. Salt, fluid, hormones, even posture, they all play a role in how much urine you make and when you make it. After a salty or highly seasoned dinner, your system may hold on to extra water to keep your blood chemistry steady. Then, later in the night, as certain hormones ebb and your body finally catches up, the kidneys start clearing the surplus. That's when the bathroom light flips on. If you've ever noticed that a heavy, flavorful late meal ends with you pacing the hallway at 2 a.m., you've experienced this balancing act firsthand. There's another piece many people miss. Acidity and certain pungent compounds can irritate a sensitive bladder. Think of a tiny paper cut. That surface becomes finicky. Now imagine asking it to tolerate a strong, tangy, peppery blend right before bed. Not everyone is equally sensitive, and the goal isn't to fear flavor. It's to respect your own threshold. The combination of high salt plus, pronounced acidity plus, aggressive heat is where trouble often begins. Common North American habits make that trio easy to assemble. Weeknight pasta with a bright red sauce straight from the jar, game day pizza with extra toppings, a healthy canned soup boosted with hot flakes, or a late sandwich with pickles and spicy mustard. All tasty, all convenient, and all capable of nudging your bladder when timing and portion size aren't in your favor. The fix isn't to swear off favorites. It's to tune how much, how late, and how they're prepared. Here are practical steps that preserve satisfaction while dialing down nighttime disruption. Shift salt earlier. Season lunch boldly and go lighter at dinner. You'll enjoy the same total flavor with less evening impact. Rinse canned or jarred add-ons under running water for a few seconds before using. This simple step can reduce surface sodium without wrecking taste. Balance acidity with cooking, not sugar. Gentle roasting, a bit of sautéed onion or grated carrot, and a splash of olive oil can mellow a sharp sauce so you naturally use less. Favor herbs over heat late in the day. Basil, oregano, thyme, parsley, dill, and chives bring aroma and depth without the late-night sting. Right-size the portion. A modest serving at 7 p.m. behaves differently than a large serving at 9:30 p.m. Move fluid earlier. If you enjoy sparkling water or tea, make it an afternoon habit. In the evening, sip to thirst rather than finishing the bottle. If a clinician gave you fluid guidance, follow that instruction. A less obvious tip addresses how the body handles daytime swelling. If your legs or ankles feel puffy after long hours on your feet, fluid can shift back into circulation once you lie down, increasing urine production. A 10-15-minute after-dinner walk, a few sets of calf raises while brushing your teeth, or putting your feet up for 20 minutes earlier in the evening can encourage that shift before bedtime rather than during it. Small moves, real payoff. Keep writing in your 7-night notebook. Note the time you finished eating, any spicy or tangy components, and how you felt overnight. You're building a personal map. If your entries show that gentler seasonings and earlier dinners reduce wake-ups, that's actionable evidence, not theory. A word on safety and common sense. People with kidney disease, heart conditions, or those on medications like diuretics or ACE inhibitors need individualized advice about salt and potassium. Some salt alternatives are high in potassium and may not be appropriate. When in doubt, check with a licensed professional. The point is to help your body, not to push it into extremes. Here's the intriguing twist that sets us up for a breakthrough. A single pantry staple shows up everywhere. Pizza Friday, Pasta Wednesday, Comfort Food Sundays, even snack time dips. And it often bundles salt, acidity, and heat in one convenient scoop. It's familiar, beloved, and for many people, perfectly fine earlier in the day. Late at night, though, it can tip the balance and wake you up. We're going to reshape how it's used so you keep the flavor and reclaim your sleep. To move forward responsibly, remember this. The next tip is one of the most important. And ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unwanted side effects if you lean too hard on the wrong substitutes or seasonings. Take the guidance as information, adapt it to your context, and proceed thoughtfully. I left a thread hanging on purpose, that familiar pantry staple that bundles salt, acidity, and heat into one easy scoop. It shows up on Pizza Friday, Pasta Wednesday, lazy night meatball subs, and even as a quick dip for garlic bread. I'm talking about the jarred, ready-to-use tomato sauce, the industrial kind that promises dinner in minutes. Tomatoes themselves are not the villain. They're nutrient-dense, friendly to many people, and a joy when prepared thoughtfully. The issue is how convenient sauces are built and how we use them late in the evening. Most commercial sauces aim for big flavor fast. To get there, manufacturers rely on a trio that can be hard on a sensitive bladder: added salt to intensify taste and preserve, acids to keep the color bright and the pH stable, and a punchy spice profile that often includes pepper flakes, black pepper, concentrated garlic, and sometimes onion powders. Many also include a whisper of sugar to round the edges, which nudges you to eat a larger portion without noticing. That combination, salty, tangy, and spicy, may be perfect at noon and problematic at 9:30 p.m., when your body is preparing for rest. Let's make this practical without drama. If you love pasta or pizza, I'm not asking you to abandon them. I'm asking you to tune the dials. Start with the label. You don't need to memorize numbers. Just compare brands side by side and pick the one that consistently lists less sodium per serving and doesn't lead with strong chilies or extra zesty claims. No salt added, low sodium, and mild are helpful keywords. If your store stocks a plain crushed tomato or passata with minimal ingredients, that's often an excellent base because you can season it your way. Portion matters more than we think. A half cup serving on a label is easy to double without realizing, especially with long noodles that hold sauce. Try measuring once or twice to reset your internal estimate, or spoon the sauce on top instead of tossing the pasta in it. You'll use less and taste more. Now let's soften the edges of a sauce you already own. You have several options. Cut the concentration. Stir in plain, no salt added crushed tomatoes, pureed roasted tomatoes, or even a ladle of unsalted vegetable puree. You'll stretch flavor while reducing the overall punch. Add natural sweet balance. Finely grate a small carrot and sauté it until it softens before adding the sauce. The gentle sweetness calms acidity without relying on sugar. Mellow the heat. Skip the pepper flakes at night and lean on herbs: basil, oregano, thyme, parsley. They deliver aroma and depth without the late-night sting. Finish gently. A splash of olive oil at the end rounds flavors so you don't chase sharpness with more salt. Pizza lovers can adjust too. Swap extra spicy toppings for roasted veggies, choose a lighter hand with aged cheeses, and place fresh basil or arugula on top after baking to lift flavor without adding sodium. If you're ordering out, ask for light sauce and avoid the late-night double-slice habit. Savored slowly, one slice with a side salad eaten earlier in the evening behaves very differently from 2 slices just before bed. Soup night can be friendlier as well. Many canned tomato-based soups are more seasoned than you expect. If that's supper, stir in unsalted beans you've rinsed, add a handful of chopped spinach, or cut it with unseasoned broth to bring the intensity down. A squeeze of lemon is lovely at lunch. For the evening bowl, you might skip it. Here's a simple 7-night trial that respects your routine. Keep your favorite sauce, but change how you use it for 1 week. Smaller portion, milder seasoning, earlier meal, and at least one balancing step from above. Log your wake-ups and morning energy like you've been doing. Many people see a change in just a few days, and that feedback is better than any claim I could make. A note on individual differences. If you're taking prescribed diuretics, ACE inhibitors, or medications that affect electrolytes, or if you live with kidney or heart conditions, involve a licensed professional when adjusting sodium or trying salt alternatives. Some light salts are high in potassium and aren't appropriate for certain people. Our aim is steady improvements, not extreme swings. Tomatoes, when handled well, can absolutely be part of an evening meal. The problem is the typical jar's formula, plus the tendency to pour generously and eat late. By understanding that structure, salt for intensity, acid for brightness, heat for drama, you can redesign dinner so it satisfies your palate without waking you at 2 a.m. Imagine twirling pasta that tastes fresh and cozy, then sleeping through the night because you fueled enjoyment rather than irritation. Before we move forward, hold this gentle caution in mind. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unwanted side effects if you lean too hard on the wrong substitutes or overcorrect with aggressive seasonings. Take it as information, apply it thoughtfully, and let your notes guide your next steps. You've already seen how dialing down the salt-acid-heat trio can calm the night. That insight doesn't mean flavor has to fade. It means we get to build it differently. My goal now is to hand you practical swaps that fit real North American routines, busy weeknights, family favorites, comfort cravings, without stirring up your bladder right before bed. First, a mindset shift. Flavor is not the enemy, and restraint isn't punishment. We're trading blunt intensity for layered aroma so you eat with satisfaction and then sleep. Start with herbs. Think of them as your evening all-stars. Basil adds sweetness, oregano brings earthiness, thyme lends warmth, parsley brightens, and chives give a gentle onion note. When you use herbs generously and earlier in the cooking process, your tongue interprets more flavor, even when the salt dial stays modest. Here are 4 fast sauces that keep dinner lively and nights quieter. Skillet herb glaze. Warm a tablespoon of olive oil in a pan, add chopped parsley and chives, a pinch of dried oregano, and a splash of pasta cooking water. Toss with hot noodles and roasted vegetables. It tastes fresh, not fiery. Roasted pepper blend. Puree roasted red bell peppers with a spoon of olive oil and a handful of basil. Heat gently and toss with chicken, lentils, or pasta. Naturally sweet, gently acidic, and low in sodium if you roast the peppers yourself or choose a no-salt jar. Cauliflower cream. Simmer cauliflower florets until tender, then blend with a little olive oil and nutmeg. Finish with thyme. Silky, cozy, and surprisingly satisfying over whole grain pasta or steamed vegetables. Tomato light pan sauce. For nights when you want that familiar taste, combine a smaller scoop of your favorite sauce with twice as much plain crushed tomato or passata. Then mellow it with sautéed grated carrot. Herb heavy, heat light. For pizza night at home, try a light brush of olive oil with oregano and basil on the base. A thin layer of tomato light sauce, roasted vegetables, zucchini, mushrooms, bell peppers, and small dollops of ricotta or fresh mozzarella instead of a blanket of aged cheeses. Bake hot and fast. The result is crisp, fragrant, and less likely to wake you. If you're ordering in, ask for light sauce, skip pepperoni and hot peppers, and plan the meal a little earlier. Balance matters as much as ingredients. Build your plate with a 2-to-1 rule in the evening. Twice as many vegetables as starch, plus a palm-sized portion of protein. Vegetables carry herbs beautifully, which lets you keep the salt gentle without feeling deprived. If you enjoy a side salad, dress it simply with olive oil and herbs. Save sharp vinegars and citrus for lunch when your bladder is less reactive. Small timing tweaks pay dividends. A short walk after dinner encourages your body to move fluid before bedtime. If your ankles swell by day, elevating your legs for 20 minutes in the early evening can shift that fluid earlier as well. Hydrate well during the morning and afternoon, then sip to thirst later. These are modest habits that respect how your body manages water. If soup is your comfort food, make it an ally. Start with a base of unsalted broth or water. Build flavor with a sauté of onion, celery, and carrot, cooked slowly until sweet. Add herbs and a handful of grains or beans for body. When you want tomato notes, stir in a small portion of plain passata and cook it longer to round out the edges. Taste before salting, and remember that resting soup for 10 minutes often deepens flavor without adding anything. Seasoning blends deserve a place by your stove. Keep a jar that mixes dried oregano, basil, chives, paprika sweet, not hot, and a tiny touch of rosemary. This lifts almost any dish, pasta, roasted potatoes, omelets, without the late-night bite. If you're tempted to reach for a salt alternative, check the label and your health conditions first. Some are high in potassium and aren't suitable for everyone. When life gets busy, we fall back on convenience. Prep a flavor bank once a week to make better choices automatic. Roast a tray of peppers, zucchini, and mushrooms. Blend a small jar of roasted pepper sauce. Chop herbs and freeze them in olive oil cubes. Simmer a batch of cauliflower cream. With these on hand, swapping is as easy as opening your fridge. Keep your notebook habit alive. On nights you use these swaps, jot down what changed. Less chili, earlier dinner, herb-forward sauce, and how the night went. Look for the trend that matters to you. Fewer wake-ups, quicker return to sleep, brighter mornings. That pattern is your personal instruction manual. 2 final thoughts for safety and success. First, if you live with kidney or heart conditions or take medications that affect fluid or electrolytes, personalize any salt changes with a licensed professional. Second, resist the urge to compensate for lower salt with a surge of aggressive spices or late-night acidity. It's not about restriction, it's about balance that supports rest. You're not giving up pleasure. You're swapping techniques so dinner serves both taste and sleep. Aromatic, colorful, satisfying food belongs in your evening. It just doesn't need to shout to be heard. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unwanted side effects if you overcorrect with the wrong substitutes or seasonings, so take it as clear information and apply it thoughtfully. You've proven that flavor can be gentle and satisfying. Now let's protect your progress by calling out the traps that look healthy at first glance, but quietly stack the deck against a peaceful night. I'll keep this grounded and practical because the goal isn't perfection. It's sleep that feels normal again. The first trap hides in the salt shaker's shadow. Products labeled light salt, mineral salt, or sodium-free salt. Many of these blends replace sodium with potassium chloride. That can be useful for some people, but it isn't appropriate for everyone, especially if you take ACE inhibitors, ARBs, potassium-sparing diuretics, or live with kidney disease. If you've been leaning on these blends to make dinner taste vivid, pause and check with a licensed professional. There's a safer way to win back flavor: herbs, roasted vegetables for natural sweetness, and finishing oils used sparingly. Another trap is the healthy soup that fits your macros. Tomato-based canned soups or boxed bisques often carry more sodium and acid than you expect, even when the label leans on wellness buzzwords. If soup soothes you at night, build it yourself from an unsalted broth, or dilute a boxed version with unseasoned beans and extra vegetables, then simmer longer to round out sharp edges. Taste before salting. Fatigue makes salt feel like a shortcut. Spice swaps can backfire too. Cutting salt by doubling down on heat seems logical, but a big hit of red pepper, black pepper, or hot paprika right before bed can irritate a sensitive bladder. If you miss the thrill of heat, save it for lunch when you can drink and move more afterward. In the evening, make your food fragrant instead of fiery. Thyme, oregano, basil, parsley, dill, and a hint of smoked sweet paprika give your tongue plenty to explore. Clean frozen dinners and pizza with better-for-you branding often rely on concentrated sauces to keep portion sizes small yet satisfying. That concentration means intensity, salt, acid, and spice, all turned up. If convenience is non-negotiable, consider this. Microwave the meal, then stir in a half cup of unsalted vegetables or plain crushed tomatoes and a spoon of sautéed grated carrot. You'll stretch flavor, lower the punch, and feel just as satisfied. Watch the add-ons. Pickles on a turkey sandwich, spicy mustard, olives, cured meats like pepperoni or salami. Each small scoop feels harmless, but together they can tip your evening meal into restless night territory. A good rule of thumb: either choose a salty accent or a tangy accent, not both, and keep the portion modest. Balance the rest of the plate with fresh or roasted vegetables. Caffeine deserves a quiet mention. Even decaf coffee contains a little caffeine, and chocolate carries methylxanthines that can nudge the bladder in sleep. If you enjoy a square of dark chocolate, savor it earlier in the day. Herbal teas help many people unwind, but diuretic blends, even natural ones, may boost urine production at the worst time. For a calm mug after dinner, think chamomile or rooibos and sip to thirst rather than finishing the teapot. Then there's timing. A wholesome dinner eaten late still behaves like a late dinner. If your schedule pushes you toward 9 p.m. meals, make your portions smaller and milder, and leave heavier seasoning for earlier in the day. Add a 10-minute walk after the last bite. That simple loop around the block encourages fluid shifts before you sleep. Let's talk about measurement, because it's where many careful plans unravel. Labels list a serving that rarely matches real life. If your sauce says 1/2 cup, spoon that amount into a bowl once or twice to retrain your eyes, then plate your food with intention. Sauce on top, not tossed in, so you control the total. The same goes for cheese. A thin spread of ricotta or fresh mozzarella often satisfies more than a thick layer of aged, salty cheese. Home cooking can stumble on one more trap, the seasoning blend that seems innocent. Many pre-mixed spice packets add salt and concentrated flavor boosters. Build your own jar with dried oregano, basil, chives, dill, sweet paprika, and a tiny whisper of rosemary. Shake it on liberally and finish with a light drizzle of olive oil to carry the aroma. You'll notice you need less of everything else. Finally, think about your body's daytime rhythm. If your legs or ankles swell after hours on your feet, that fluid often returns to circulation once you lie down. A short evening walk, gentle ankle pumps while you relax, or elevating your legs for 20 minutes earlier in the evening can help shift that fluid before lights out. It's a small investment with a big payoff. Keep the notebook going. Note what you ate, what you changed, and how you slept. You're not aiming for a perfect week. You're collecting clues that point you toward lasting habits. When the pattern becomes obvious, you won't need the notebook anymore. Dinner will simply feel kinder, and your nights will tell the truth. A closing word: friendly and firm. Health choices work best when they respect your personal context. If you take prescription medications or live with heart or kidney conditions, personalize any salt or potassium changes with a licensed professional. Aim for balance, not extremes. You're close to the turning point where comfort food and reliable sleep can coexist. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unwanted side effects if you swing too hard toward the wrong substitutes or methods, so take the guidance as information and apply it with care. You've cleared the path: fewer irritants at dinner, smarter swaps, and a sharper eye for friendly-looking traps. Now it's time to bring the idea full circle and show you the preparation method that keeps the familiar tomato taste many of us love while treating your bladder with respect. This is simple kitchen craft, not a fad. And at the end, I'll hand you the promised bonus: a concise checklist and a salt-free seasoning blend you can keep by the stove. Start with ingredients that make the method work for you. Choose ripe tomatoes or a plain passata with no salt added, just tomatoes on the label. If fresh tomatoes are in season, you'll get extra sweetness and less sharpness to begin with. If they're out of season, roasting coaxes flavor without turning up acidity. Here's the calm night method, step by step. Prep the tomatoes. Score an X on the bottoms. Dunk them in boiling water for 30-45 seconds, then into ice water. Slip off the skins, halve them, and scoop out the seeds. Removing skins and seeds lowers the sharp bite some people feel. Concentrate gently. Lay the tomato halves on a baking sheet, cut side up. Drizzle lightly with olive oil and roast at a moderate heat until they slump and sweeten, about 25-35 minutes depending on your oven. You're building natural sweetness, so you won't chase flavor with salt. Build a soft base. In a pan, warm a little olive oil and slowly sauté finely chopped onion with a handful of grated carrot. Cook until sweet and tender, not browned. This step rounds acidity without sugar. Blend and balance. Add the roasted tomatoes, or passata, to the pan. Simmer on low so edges soften. Stir in chopped basil, a pinch of oregano, and a bit of thyme. Skip hot chilies and pepper flakes late in the day. If you enjoy garlic, go light and cook it gently so it turns sweet rather than sharp. Finish with restraint. Taste first. If it needs salt, add a small pinch at the end and stop as soon as it wakes up the flavor. If it tastes flat, a teaspoon of olive oil or an extra sprinkle of herbs is often the right move. Portion modestly over pasta or vegetables instead of tossing everything together. Time it right. Aim to finish dinner 2 to 3 hours before bed. If life crowds you, even 60-90 minutes helps. A short post-meal walk moves fluid earlier. Why this works? Gentle roasting and the carrot-onion base create sweetness that balances acidity. Skipping aggressive heat reduces bladder irritation. Finishing with herbs and a measured hand with salt avoids the late-night sodium surge. You get comfort without the 2 a.m. hallway shuffle. A few variations keep things interesting. For a creamier feel, whirl a ladle of cooked white beans into the sauce. For a brighter herbal lift, stir in fresh parsley and chives at the very end, off the heat. For pizza, spread a thin layer of this sauce on a crisp base, add roasted vegetables, and finish with small dollops of ricotta or fresh mozzarella instead of a blanket of aged cheese. If you're ordering out, ask for light sauce and avoid hot pepper toppings late. The difference overnight can be striking. Portions and plating matter. Spoon the sauce over your food rather than tossing it in so you control how much you use. Pair your meal with a generous side of vegetables and a palm-sized portion of protein. Season boldly at lunch, gently at dinner. Keep most of the day's fluids earlier. In the evening, sip to thirst. Safety and personalization remain part of the method. If you take prescription medications that affect fluid or electrolytes, or you live with kidney or heart conditions, personalize any salt decisions with a licensed professional. This is about steady, sustainable improvements, not extremes. Here is the promised bonus, ready to use tonight. Bladder-friendly dinner. Checklist. Finish dinner 2 to 3 hours before bed when possible. If not, reduce portion size and seasoning. Favor herb-forward flavors over aggressive heat in the evening. Build sauces with a soft base, onion plus grated carrot, and gentle roasting for sweetness. Choose low-sodium or no-salt added tomato bases. Stretch concentrated sauces with plain crushed tomatoes. Plate with a 2-to-1 rule. Twice the vegetables as starch, plus a palm-sized protein. Front-load fluids earlier in the day. Sip to thirst at night unless your clinician advises otherwise. Take a brief post-dinner walk. Elevate legs earlier in the evening if you notice swelling by day. Keep a simple sleep notebook for 1 week to see cause and effect clearly. Salt-free evening seasoning. Blend. 2 parts dried oregano, 2 parts dried basil, 1 part dried chives, 1 part sweet paprika, not hot, 1 2-part finely crushed rosemary combine, and store in a small jar. Shake over pasta, roasted vegetables, soups, or pizza bases. Finish with a teaspoon of olive oil to carry the aroma. End this day with a sense of control. You haven't given up comfort. You've learned to shape it so your body can rest. A calmer night makes mornings brighter. Steadier mood, clearer focus, and energy that lasts. Share what works with someone you care about and help them sleep better too. If this guidance helped, consider liking, sharing, or subscribing so more people can find trustworthy, practical steps that fit real life. One final friendly reminder as you keep experimenting. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unwanted side effects if you overcorrect with the wrong substitutes or methods. Treat each change as information, apply it thoughtfully, and let your own notes guide the way.